Welcome back to Top 5.
The full moon bathed the abandoned warehouse in an eerie glow, illuminating the shadows creeping along the cold concrete floors. Inside, a silence that was heavy with anticipation hung thick in the air, interrupted only by the rhythmic ticking of a countdown deep within the electronic mechs hidden throughout the facility. A storm was brewing, not just above, but within, as two of the deadliest figures in the universe prepared for a confrontation that would shatter the night. On one side stood Deadpool, clad in his familiar red and black suit, mouth twitching in chaotic anticipation. A scattering of grenades hung from his belt, and a variety of weapons crisscrossed his body, each one screaming to be used. He zeroed in on his opponent, a sardonic grin etched across his scarred face. "Hey, Slade. You ready for a game of who dies first?" Spoiler alert, I'm not even gonna blink. From the shadows emerged Deathstroke, a hulking figure clad in orange and blue armor that glinted menacingly in the moonlight. His signature sword, glistening with a dark sheen, was strapped to his back, and a pistol was effortlessly gripped in his right hand. "You should have stayed in your lane, Wade. Now, I'm going to enjoy this." Slade's voice was low, calm, in stark contrast to Deadpool's erratic energy, and it cut through the tension like a knife. In a blink, Deadpool lunged forward, wannabe acrobatics in full swing. He twisted and flipped, throwing a barrage of small grenades that pulsed with impending doom toward Deathstroke, who barely had time to draw a blade. The explosions lit up the warehouse, a cacophony of fire and shrapnel. Debris rained down like deadly confetti, but Slade emerged, unfazed, firing off precise shots that sang through the air. One struck Deadpool in the shoulder, but it barely slowed him down. He chuckled, pulling a piece of shrapnel from his side with glee. "Is that all you've got?" Deadpool laughed, tauntingly pulling the bullet out and tossing it aside. He rushed Slade with reckless abandon, swinging at the time. Their weapons clashed, a metallic symphony of chaos echoing around them. Blades danced, slicing through flesh and armor, leaving deep crimson marks. Slade retaliated with brutal efficiency, and he struck to Deadpool's gut that sent him sprawling backward. In the same moment, he pulled a hidden dagger from his gauntlet and thrust it into Deadpool's side. The blade pierced flesh, eliciting a painful groan, but Deadpool just grinned through the pain. "You tickled my liver, buddy. Nice try." Meanwhile, Slade's eyes narrowed. The fight had to end with precision and cruelty. He reached for a device strapped around his thigh, a mutation-dampening collar, his last resort to ensure another failure for his immortal opponent. With a speed cultivated from years of experience, he hurled the collar toward Deadpool, catching him off guard. Deadpool's eyes went wide. "No, no, no. That is not the right accessory for me." But it was too late. The collar snapped shut around his neck, locking in place with a menacing click. Deadpool staggered, experiencing an immediate sense of dread. His healing factor sputtered like a dying engine as the cancer cells within him surged uncontrollably. The once vibrant glow of his body began to fade, his skin breaking out in sores, and blood trickled from his eyes as his laughter died in a cacophony of despair. Slade took the moment of weakness and charged, blade glimmering in the muted light. He lunged forward, a stab aimed straight for Deadpool's brain, the one area that could end the merc's absurdly fortunate life once and for all. The blade struck true, penetrating the skull and silencing Deadpool's laughter for good. As Deadpool lay limp, the warehouse grew silent aside from the low hum of the countdown timer that now ticked ominously toward empowerment. But Deathstroke felt an unsettling rumble of power within him. His victory was sweet, but it could grow bitter. He had felt it before, and as Deadpool's body began to convulse, the memories of old injuries flickered in his mind. And then, without warning, Deadpool's body exploded out of the stillness. Blood and gore erupted like fireworks. A sinister laugh echoed through the gutted shell of the warehouse as Deadpool's form began stitching itself back together, the collar crackling with suppressed energy. "Guess what, Slade? I'm not that easy to kill." His body mended rapidly, laughter mixed with madness as he lifted himself from the ground. But Slade, ever the strategist, loaded another round in his pistol, now infused with a lethal neurotoxin. "I may not be able to kill you forever, but I can definitely make this hurt." He took aim, his finger tightening on the trigger. Before he could fire, Deadpool lunged again, his speed unnaturally quick, fueled by the chaos of his resurrection. He tackled Slade, sending them both crashing into the nearby wall. Rubble engulfed them as dust moted in the moonlight transformed the battleground into a site of destruction. Slade recovered quickly, rolling and regaining his footing. Once in place, he retaliated with unmatched fury, slicing through Deadpool's torso with surgical precision, limbs ironically detaching. Blood sprayed everywhere, coating the cold floor in a crimson tide. "You'll die again, you bastard." But Deadpool only grinned wider through the agony, barely conscious yet giddy with the thrill of the fight. "You think that's all I've got? You're about to be proven wrong." In the chaos, the two exchanged blows that would shatter bones, routines fraught with violence. Each wound and strike bled into a grotesque mural of destruction, dead limbs, smattered brains, the perpetual scent of iron fueling them both until the anger eclipsed the need for survival. Deathstroke, growing frenzied by the regenerating menace before him, began to lose the advantage. He plunged his sword into Deadpool's chest repeatedly, his heart stuttering each time, but each injury fueled Deadpool's uncontrollable insanity. More. Harder. I love it. With scarring desperation, Slade detonated grenades strapped to his belt, sacrificing pieces of himself to engulf Deadpool in a blast of fiery chaos. The explosion hurled them both backward, further into darkness, smoke curling like demonic fingers as their bodies lay momentarily still. But slowly, Deadpool clawed himself back to life, limbs patchworking back into place as he envisioned victory through the haze of gloom. As the smoke cleared, Deadpool rose, a spectral figure with battle-worn bruises and bloody grins, picking debris from his suit. Coming back from the dead never looked so fabulous. But Slade, bloody and battered, compelled by the dark thrill of the encounter, activated the final protocol in his battle suit, a failed equation for his immortality but a last gambit worth taking. With a heavy breath, he struck Deadpool with the final blow, aimed squarely at the heart, a lethal injection that surged with infectious fury. The moment Deadpool's heart stopped, his body convulsed again, but this time he wouldn't spring back to life. Slade felt a satisfaction growing, ready for timing triumph. The warehouse fell profoundly silent as Deadpool's body lay still, blood pooling around him, a horrifying piece of art in the midst of hellish carnage. Amidst the deathly quiet, Deathstroke stood amid the wreckage, panting, but triumphing in victory. "You're finally finished, Wade." But in the depth of the silence, as the remnants of death crawled back from the brink of consciousness, a faint twitch was all that was needed. A growl echoed from Deadpool, who began to disappear in a fog of darkness. His laughter resounded one last time, sing-songy and taunting, "Guess again." And in the shuddering darkness, chaos began anew, a cycle of death and laughter echoing through the night, with no clear victor. In a world where carnage was a signature art form, both immortals would continue their dance, forever fighting in a bloody twisted tapestry of madness, with no end in sight.